on the topic of sci-fi, there's a Kickstarter out there running at the moment, which is it completely gobsmacked me. Okay, it's called Obsidian Protocol. Okay, it's a mech Kickstarter. Yeah. I know. I knew you would be excited by this. And these mechs are beautiful. The Kickstarter is on fire, but it's completely kind of come from under the radar. It's another one of these. Just a genius somewhere has just created just some amazing stuff.
More than tripled their funding goal.
So we managed to grab a prototype copy to have a look at the miniatures up close. So join us now as we take a little bit of a look through the minis and some of the prototype components of Obsidian Protocol.
Hey folks, we're here having a look at the Obsidian Protocol. This is a demonstration set that we've been sent over from China. It's currently on Kickstarter. So it's an interesting little game. It's set in the 22nd century, and mankind has discovered alien tech deep inside the moon, and it's called the Moonrise era, where everything goes great. They find these black boxes full of fantastic technology, and the world rips itself apart, more or less, as nation struggles against nation to try and get their hands on the tech. About 50 years after that, when mankind has crawled back out of the dirt of the sort of the big civil war, what's left behind are mega corporations and civilizations that have sort of grown up from the remnants of the past. Yeah. America's gone, China's gone, they're all gone, and what's been left behind are various factions who've gone, we're not having another war. There isn't going to be a war. This is going to be a nice peaceful thing now.
Okay.
But instead they fight their own black war inside the moon as they try and get their hands on the black boxes. So it's a tactical mech combat game set inside the moon as people war for this advanced alien tech to try and push their agenda. And I presume at some point in the future, when one mega corporation or faction has sort of got over their opponents, they will use this to then ruffle stomp their way across the earth, bringing a brave new world.
You know, if they've got the shiny boxes up in the moon, you're going to want to go get them.
Yeah, they're called black boxes because, like a flight recording black box, they're practically indestructible. Nobody can get inside to see what's in them. So they've had to sort of reverse engineer the tech, which is where the mechs come in. And this is a fascinating concept of the game. That the mechs, it's very similar to BattleTech in that you build your faction and you build your mech, and the mechs themselves are magnetized. So if you're playing a specific faction, you may discover that some mechs are cheaper than others, some components are more expensive, pilots are better, that type of thing. So you would actually go, right, well, for this particular setup, I want to have, now I'm going to cross the streams here because I think these are actually two different factions, but you might go, I want a sniper rifle instead of the bigger railgun, and pop that on. You've also got things like the backpack, so that's actually a heatsink. But you can get things like shield generators, and this fellow over here has got a rocket launcher, of which the rockets actually float around by themselves whenever they're launched, so they have a certain tracking. It's a fascinating mechanic because it gives you a list building, but also allows you to get into the building with the mechs as well, because you don't have to have a defined setup for your mechs. You can chop and change as much as you need to. Yeah. And the factions themselves also have this interesting setup where you've got the Reconstructionist League, who are actually run by, they've got an AI computer called Mentor. And Mentor goes, this is the way the community should be run. It's for the good of the community. Everybody will work together. Here's the best thing that you need to do. You need to go and have a kid.
Really?
You do. Mentor says you do. You should do that.
Are you sure the world's ready for me to have a kid?
Yes, exactly. Because Mentor, the super AI, would not come up with something that's stupid. So Mentor runs the league of the Reconstructionist League, and in that they have access to a lot of cheap deployable units. Maybe they're not top of the line. There are different corporations within the factions will manufacture bits and pieces. So the league could be quite floody in that you've got quite a lot of mechs, maybe not tip top, but they do the job. You've got the network, and the network are much more elite. And you've got these builds where you've got very small groups of either drones or got little drones as well, drones and mechs.
And the drones are also magnetized.
Yeah, because you can get different types. And through your elite units, you build your faction that way. And there's a third faction who have decided that the idea that people should be downloading their consciousness into mechs and running mech armies on the moon is a bad thing. And they go, no, mankind's great. So they rock their mechs the old-fashioned way with people inside them pressing buttons and pulling levers.
That sounds good to me.
But they focus more on drones, so you might have a massive drone army instead. So when you've got the likes of your mechs built, you actually end up with a little setup like this, which is your dashboard, and you pop in the relevant armament and weaponry and chassis that you've built, and then you take something like this. So I think I've been roughly going through the actual mechanics of the game, but you have a phase where the drones all move, and then after the drones have done their movement, then you select your mech pilot, and then you choose when they're going to activate 1 to 6. And so you might decide that you're going to activate later on in the hope that somebody comes out and presents themselves as a better target, or you might go, I want to go first. So all the mechs activate simultaneously on that number.
Yeah, this guy's hanging out in the open, let's hit him early.
Yeah, but you might find out that he's also decided to activate it at the same time. So as you're firing at him, they're coming towards you. Whereas if you waited, he may have already made his move, so he's an easier target to hit.
I see.
But even things like the missiles, you've got options. So if a missile's coming towards you and it's tracking, you could try and shoot it down. You could try and dodge it, get behind a building. You can try and hack it to reprogram it to go and hit somebody else.
Bother someone else.
In fact, possibly the fella who's just fired at you. Or you can deploy chaff to try and explode it. So it's a very tactical game. They're still running through playtest and beta rules. But the guys who've been working on this started developing it in college in, I think, like 2007, 2008. So, and there's a great bit on the Kickstarter, which I'm sure our editor will cut in because he loves me.
Survey said.
Where they're actually playing the very early prototype version of this in college with little wireframe models and blue tack on bases on just a hex grid.
That's nice.
So, Obsidian Protocol, the idea behind it is the core pledge, which is kind of what we see here, although they've added quite a lot more on from the Kickstarter.
Yeah, all the stretch goals they've been unlocking.
It will be hard plastic tooled, but then they also have expansion packs and stuff that currently look like they're going to be resin.
Yeah.
If they get the funding to hit hard plastic, they'll go back and do them. But they'll be fully modular with the magnets in the kit.
All right, so you're not having to try to magnetize these. These are designed to be magnetized from the ground up.
So even things like the sockets where the arms join in already have the sink in it for what looks like a 4mm magnet there, as do the corresponding parts.
On the torsos.
On the torso, and the things like the backpacks and some of the smaller pieces like the drones have these little sort of 1.5mm magnets. So
that's cool.
It's all ready to rock and roll. They are still playtesting and looking at how they can sort of streamline things because they want the game to be as playable as possible. Thank you very much. While it's ongoing, so between now and actually delivery, which I think is aimed for sort of the end of next year, they're hoping to get as much refinement in as possible. And the community behind it have already got massively on board. I mean, some of just the fans, the amount of work they've done in breaking down the factions and how they build and what way you can play them is just insane already. So. Yeah.
You see, this just puts me in my happy place because I've always wanted a game like this where you do have modular mechs on the table. You can build them out however you want. It goes back to an old video game I used to play, Armored Core. I think it was on the PS2 where you were literally just a mech pilot going out doing missions. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so subterranean fighting in the pit of Mars. Let us know what you think of Obsidian Protocol, guys. And if you're interested, you've a few more days left on this Kickstarter to back it.